Hi, Jay. Hi, Sats.
Morning, Nicole. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, awesome.
I think everybody up. Hey, Eric.
Hey, how's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Amanda, Yuna.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
What's up, Yuna?
Hey, Yuna. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Jay, what's up, Jay?
It's a party in here.
What up, fam?
Officially so.
Love you all.
Good
Love
morning,
you all.
good afternoon, good evening.
Hi, Annika.
Good morning, everyone.
Good evening for you.
Where is this Jessie?
Hello, Jessie.
Hi, Jessie.
Hello. How's it going?
Annika, do you want to accept my
Yeah, I've just done that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Morning, Jesse, man. Thanks for the invite.
Happy to have you here.
Okay.
Your hair is fabulous. Jeez Louise.
Who's missing?
So we are missing Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua, the OG curator. We're super honored to have Joshua with us because he's an OG curator of digital art from the 90s, and I think he can help us a lot tonight with understanding what art is and about the history of digital art. So I'll check if he can find us. 1 second.
Max isn't here yet, but Max is a beast. He's a force of nature, so we don't know.
So Max will actually not be in the conversation.
I don't think Lambie's here either.
And you're right, Lambie isn't here. Yes. I know it's like 6 a.m. for her. She told me she was gonna have a big gallon of coffee, so hopefully she woke up because she's in Australia. Let me message her actually.
I see several friends out in the audience. That's awesome. Stina, Anne, everybody.
Matt Kane.
Yeah.
What's up, Matt? I see you down there. What's up, Matt?
Hey there.
Pretty much everybody in this room. It's all family. It's all family here, which is cool,
So probably no fighting tonight if everyone's family, or more fighting because it's family.
Yeah, I feel like there's
whoever wants to come up and speak their piece, whatever.
I just see Joshua, so I invited you up, Joshua.
There he is. Great.
Oh, we got one woman NFT in here. Yay.
And
another
we're missing
amazing
Lambie.
controversial person.
Yeah, we can bring some controversial people up later if we're not happy with how the fighting goes. We can get some help with that, I guess.
Right, we want to make sure we have well-rounded fighting.
Yes. Okay, cool. Joshua, I think you got an invite from us. You need to click on that link and then you're with us. I think it's Joshua's first time. I met him, funny enough, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago on Twitter. He's brand new and super honored to have him because he's such a big name and it's so sweet that he calls himself OG curator. He tweeted that with a wink of an eye, but I found that really cute. You're the OG artist, he's the OG curator. But it doesn't seem to work.
And we're also missing Lambie, actually. I just pinged her, but I think it might be very early for her.
She might be making another masterpiece.
Yeah.
Disaster piece.
Did anybody see that the emojis changed on Twitter Spaces, or is it just because I'm in the US? Like it's different emojis.
No, there has been an update, and people
Oh,
tweeted
okay.
that if you like the 100s, you shouldn't do the update because they're gone. And I
Yeah,
think the
they're
fist is
gone.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. That's so frustrating.
I know. I love the 100.
Oh God, I didn't do an update and they're gone. How did that happen?
Amanda, we somehow lost you, but I just invited you to speak again. Okay,
Also, why a purple heart? Or like a
I don't know.
lavender heart?
Doesn't make sense.
Very feminist, isn't it? The color purple.
Okay.
I'm listening to not cheesy 90s electronica, but
Oh, nice. We have music.
a little intermission right now.
Okay, Amanda's back. Joshua, inviting you to speak again. You should see the request on your bottom left. But you need to be on your phone to be able to speak, not on your laptop. So if you're on your laptop, just log back into your phone.
And hopefully Twitter won't rug us this time. I think the last Twitter Spaces I was in was like they did some update and they just crashed all the rooms. You know, that was great.
3 times already.
Yeah, is the rugging thing going to be forever? Is this like forever rugging technology? Like, just I don't even know.
I don't know. I'm over it though. Sick of it.
Let's get this party started.
Yeah,
Annika, Joshua still
start.
has problems finding the invite to speak. But yeah, let's get started. There he is.
Here.
Excellent.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
we can.
great. Sorry about that. I was trying to do this on my computer desktop, so I'm on my phone now.
To speak. Great. Okay, cool. So please mute your micro when you're not
Sorry
speaking.
about that. I was trying to do this on my computer desktop. Okay, I'm just going to do it on my phone.
Bottom left, you can mute yourself.
Okay.
The mix sign.
Is everything okay now?
Still hear you?
Sounds good to me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you need to mute yourself on the bottom left. If there's mic on and mic off.
Mute.
Just click on the mic sign. Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. So let's start. Good morning, everyone. Our topic tonight is trash art, and it provokes and pushes the bounds of art. And now I've just realized that it's pretty funny to actually, because it's an historical movement, and you very rarely have the artist with you who started the historical movement. So when Robness put the gift titled 64-gallon toter on Super Rare, it was taken down for appropriating an image of a trash can from Home Depot's website. Everything in the marketplace is original and created by the artist. John Crane, the CEO of Super Rare, explained. Other artists have accused trash artists of stealing the original work, and collectors were worried that trash art devalued their tokens and made them feel like it wasn't art. Platforms were worried about backlash from collectors and possible copyright violations, and therefore removed trash art pieces from their marketplaces. This sort of like has been fixed now with Super Rare, for example. So what we'd like to speak with you about tonight is probably the most important question. What is art, and why is a flickering gif of a trash can art? How do artists, you here with us, define trash art, and why did platforms like Super Rare and Foundation ban NFTs for being low effort? And for me, the most important question, I would say, what does it mean to create an original work of art? And with this, I pass it on to Nicole to introduce all of you. My name is Annika, by the way. I'm a writer and curator. And yeah.
All right. Thank you, Annika. My name is Nicole, founder of Vertical Crypto Art. I'm going to quickly introduce all of the speakers, and then we'll go straight into the questions. Amanda, I'm adding you on. I'm adding you back on. So I'll start with Rob Ness, pioneer of trash art, a multimedia artist, and also the creator of the famous 64 toter gallon. We have Amanda Devick, who's an artist, a crypto enthusiast, and she tokenized in 2020 on Rarible the 2020 Sexiest Man in Orange as news of John McAfee's indictment, which went viral throughout crypto Twitter. We have Sats Moon, who's a very early OG collector, curator and founder of Future Art, and a very early trash art collector. Crypto Yuna, artist with a traditional oil painting background, transitioned into digital in 2019, and one of the first women in trash art history, as well as an OG in the NFT community. Joshua, who is a New York-based art critic, curator, theorist, educator, editor, and also an OG curator of digital art. And Eric, aka Second Realm, who is a crypto artist and who pioneered free of the crypto native movements, trash art, alt punks, and male NFT frisk traps, as well as creator of the unofficial punks. All right. So with this, I think maybe we can start with the first question, which is kind of going back to the beginning of trash art. And I'd like to maybe pass it on to you, Rob, first, and just talk a little bit about the history of trash art. Like, how did it start? Where does it come from?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's it's during the early days of Super Rare. I was making a lot of pieces, along with other cohorts of mine like Max Osiris and the rest of us, and it was I was using different techniques and stuff. I use Photoshop, I use After Effects or whatever apps I'm used to using. But there's one in particular that I was pretty fond of at the time, which is like Photomosh, and still to this day I use it. And I was making a bunch of pieces, and at first, so the community dug it, and but there were some people, when they found out the methods that I was using to make the artwork, all of a sudden it went from they liked it to, oh, this is garbage because it's so easy to produce or something like that. And so, which I thought was kind of funny because throughout the ages, there's always art that's almost simple in nature but effective. And so I kind of found it a moot argument, but during the time I was using Photomosh, and when that was discovered, they didn't like it, and they would start calling it trash and this and that, and basically, I had to kind of like think about it for a little bit and just how do I want to approach this? Do I move on from it? Do I maybe create another art style, which I'm kind of known for, just to constantly change styles and stuff. But in this case, I felt like it was something to kind of defend as far as a position. So yeah, I definitely I cranked up the trash. Let's just put it that way. And then I kind of took like a punk rock kind of outlook on it because I play guitar as well, and punk rock is known for 3 chords, simple. Let's write this song in about 5 minutes, get these lyrics down and roll it. And so I kind of look at Photomosh as like the same kind of aesthetic, because if you use it, there's some other musicians in this space too that kind of akin to Photomosh, like a bunch of guitar effects pedals that you can stack on each other. So like the new version, which I had definitely I'm blessed to be a part of, like helping the developers actually develop the new one. They basically asked me like all the stuff I wanted to put in there, but basically, the more it got developed, the more it started acting like an effects processor, like visually. So for me, it just kind of lended well to my style. Yeah, and so from that point on, when I was starting to get a little constrained with creativity, so to speak, I basically just kept making more trash, and then it got to the point where I wanted to get more kind of literal with it. And then, the first piece, that was collected by, Vincent Van Gogh, that piece in particular, people are asking me, like, why did you call that a trash can? And to be honest, there is a trash can in there. It's just super obscured, kind of making like an artistic joke at that point in time. And at the time I made it, the joke wasn't really like, I don't think many people got the joke, I guess. I don't know. But so I made another one. And then the next one is kind of like, you can kind of see the can in there, but it's not really, it's still kind of glitched to shit. So, and then after that, not really too much fanfare. And then the third one, I'm gonna say, you know what? Let's make a real just in your face. This is it. This is what I'm feeling right now, and boom. And then that's when I got let go of. So the piece was removed, and then I was removed. And then that point on, Cointelegraph, Darren Klein, he wrote an article about it. And then after that, the fam that's here right now showed up. He heeded the call and backed my play on it. And so, if anything, like, this is everybody's. It's not even mine anymore. Like, I can't. Like, I had my own intentions as to why I made it, but to see like how much it's grown, it means a lot, because it's just people, taking in their own directions and so forth, and they have their own perceptions or their own maybe struggles or maybe gripes with the space. So I figure like the trash can now is sort of like a meme in the pocket of crypto art now. It's like whenever it needs to be pulled, it can be pulled. So, but that's my history in the space, and that was basically during the early days of Super Rare, and it was a great time though. I mean, with all that stuff going on, I feel like almost it was necessary. Like all these struggles were necessary for the entire space to grow and to figure out things themselves. And I learned a lot too. So, maybe not to be as brash, but like cool myself down on some things. But yeah, that's pretty much the history for me, at least.
My whole thing is like, what is the difference of using something like Photomosh as opposed to having this hoity-toity AI art that is really just running a bunch of pictures through an AI generator? Like, I don't really see the difference. And Super Rare was elevating all of that stuff and then, blocking Robness art. So yeah, I'd love to hear some like people's opinions and thoughts on that.
There isn't a difference. That's my thought on it. It was Super Rare being influenced by the collectors, the ones that had the money, and they just didn't like it. So, and then some other ones that were throwing a fit. I mean, you can't really get into trash art without naming names and some of the ugly stuff that went down. Yeah, it was a great time, but it has got some colorful history.
Can I just, I would just add that my feeling is that once something is art and is accepted as art, I mean, once the artist defines it as art and once there's a sufficient consensus that it is art in a sense within the community, whatever the community is, whether it's a traditional art community or a crypto art community, it is not possible to unart art. And I don't know a lot about the open, what happened with Super Rare, but it seems like their gesture was to kind of de-define it as art in some way, which is an impossibility conceptually and in any other way. So that's my brief comment on that.
And then it looks like Eric wants to say something.
Yeah, Josh, I would just add on to that. You're right. I don't think they were under the guise of calling it not art. What they were actually doing was deplatforming art that certain collectors, and you're so kind, you won't name names. I will. Whale Shark and Jimmy Eath and a bunch of those fellas will willingly. And Jimmy, we talked to Jimmy, and we're good friends with Jimmy now. I've got no respect for Whale Shark, but that's a whole other opinion. Not important for this conversation. But they attempted to deplatform artists because they didn't like the art themselves. They thought it was devaluing and you're right. It was devaluing art that they were just throwing through like Blender or some other 3D version. So that's the kind of shit we were dealing with.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Jay, I was about to introduce you. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, during that time when Whale Shark and Jimmy Eath, and I've got respect for everybody in the space because everybody brings something, even if I don't agree with it, because everybody doesn't agree with what we're all doing all the time anyway. But I think in terms of like the judgment against AI art, against trash art, like how many buttons do you have to press for it to get art? I don't know. You can't set a limit. Obviously, it could be one, for some people and 500 for other people. But when we were doing this, like when I got started in trash art, I didn't even know about Rob Ness's trash can getting deplatformed after I'd already made like hundreds of photo mosh GIFs in 2019 and just like pumping out GIF after GIF and spamming and like platforms. But Yeah, like the collectors hated it. They just like it was a lot. It wasn't even just like this needs to be taken down. It was a hatred that was since, and a lot of people making trash art felt it personally. I know other artists that really took it seriously and felt hurt by some of these accusations that were going around at the time of how horrible trash art and spam was. It was really ridiculous and kind of fun at the same time. But Una was right. It wasn't always nice, and we went through a lot to. I don't think a lot of people realize how ugly it got for a minute.
Do we want to maybe like give some context for everybody who's listening? Because some people might actually not know at all like what went on. So do we want to talk a little bit about the story, like actually like details of what happened and how this all came about?
Can I give some details?
Sure.
Okay. So there's a lot. So Max was attacked personally in his personal life. That never sat well with me. And I do have respect for, all the players now. Like I said, it's been 2 years. I get along with everybody, the ones that I was against at the time and the ones that I was good friends with. And we all were good friends and we were all joking. And it was as much as about, one of our friends getting deplatformed, banned from platforms, two of them, for ridiculous reasons, as it was about defending our own art and defending Rarible at the time, because it was the only open place for us to go entering the space. It was so kept, it was just ridiculous. And anybody that was minting on Rarible at the time was considered a trash art. You were considered less than an artist at the time. The words trolley artist, and we were accused of all that just junk, and so it was all of that. Yeah.
I think we were labeled the worst people in NFT land in a Cent article. And there was even like people, collectors were trying to figure out the space, and they had a lot of money invested in it. I even read one article that was like, if an NFT doesn't sell, is it really art? So I felt like there were a lot of investors moving into the space that didn't really understand like the historical, all the history of art and everything that artists bring to the space, whether they're aware of that or not. But yeah, it was very interesting during those early days of Rarible, because that was a new open platform, whereas it had been curated predominantly.
It was easy to get verified, right? But then at the same time, because it was easy to get verified, there were a lot of bad actors that kind of took advantage of that. So I think like as a whole, it sort of shadowed the entire space.
I can just jump in and give a bit of a perspective from like a collector point of view. Those early days that you guys are talking about when the trash Totter first got banned, there was a really small collector base that was active, and it seemed like the collectors at that time had a real weight of power. They were throwing around significant money, and there was very few of them. I mean, there was probably less than 200 active like collectors, and then maybe 50 that were buying weekly, on the platforms. And some of those guys were like seriously unhinged humans. Like they were really like just sort of like very ego driven, very willing and wanting to throw around their power. And that you really saw that out when it was a couple of collectors that pushed to deplatform Max and Rob. And for me, as a collector, I came up through the street art era. I came up collecting early Banksy work. I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop, a lot of punk, and so I just saw it straight away as like, did they just deplatform these guys? Like, this is literally the best thing that could ever have happened to these two artists. They literally all of a sudden, like, really drew a line in the sand. And it came out of a couple of collectors feeling like they were, they weren't getting what they wanted. So I just thought it was this incredible opportunity. And as soon as they were deplatformed, I was like, we really need to acquire as much trash art as possible. This thing's going to blow up. I mean, getting your song banned on the radio is pretty much the best thing you can do.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it continued. Sorry, if you don't mind, that the banning continued through most of 2020. I ended up got banned, deplatformed from Super Rare, because Hackatow and what's the other guy, Pack, was remixing their work, and they didn't appreciate it. And of course, during that time, September 2020, Hackatow and Pack were big sellers, and John from Super Rare just sent me an email one day, basically said, "We heard that you didn't want to be part of the platform anymore, so we blacklisted you." Like the most ridiculous shit. I still have the email. But actually, it's kind of the best thing that ever happened to me as an artist, because I think some early artists continued to rely on the supposed support of Super Rare, and I went on to be successful on my own, having to find my own path. So really, I want to thank them for banning me, with two middle fingers up, and hope that even if I get back onto the platform, know that I'm never going to mint there again.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask a question? Sorry. Sorry to interrupt. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm just curious because I read I believe in an article that one of the supposed rationales that Super Rare or somebody affiliated with Super Rare had about the banning had to do with the claim that the use of an image of a trash container from one of the companies was somehow a copyright violation potentially, and that somehow the idea of using an appropriated image was not deemed to be, somehow serious as an art form. And it seems to me that whoever, if that is accurate, and if that was one of the arguments made to deplatform, whoever made that argument clearly does not have any understanding of basic art history, because we know that throughout art history, I mean traditional art history, let's say, and I think that obviously crypto art and other forms of art are becoming part of this broader art histories, that many artists have appropriated other artists in different ways. That's just part of how art language works. So it seemed to me that that's a very parochial and short-sighted understanding of art, that somehow if there's an image that exists in the public realm, or even if it doesn't exist in the public realm and it's appropriated, right? Warhol did it, Mike Bidlow did it, Sturtevant did it, reproducing existing works of art is just, Sherry Levine has done it for years. It's just part of the play of being an artist to a certain extent. So that concerned me because it suggested that there's a certain naivete with some people on Super Rare in terms of the people who run Super Rare, not the artists. I mean,
100%.
That's correct. Yeah, 100%. And that's not just Super Rare now. That's other platforms too, who continue to remove art simply because they deem it, there's potential liability. And DMCA has a lot to do with this. And there's often no recourse for an artist to come back from DMCA. So,
suck the DMCA. What's up?
What
Hi,
up, Max?
What's up, Max?
Max?
The prodigal son returns.
How are you?
Man, Max,
What up?
you had experience with even Foundation, like holding your art because, they decided that they didn't want to keep listing your stuff anymore. And then, all of a sudden it's trapped in their escrow wallet, right?
Yeah, basically they banned me. I'll still claim that I'm the third most viewed piece on their MFL platform, and it's called Foundation App Invite. And I basically the same way I skewered app.net back in the day for being like a closed wall country club of idiocy. It basically kind of became that, and I don't know. I guess I have a knack for getting banned from shit. So apparently I'm about to be maybe put on Super Rare for the third time, which I would never have. I don't even know. I don't know. That might happen if Yell Boy stops yelling about how he invented the game. I don't know. What else are we talking about? Oh yeah, trash cans.
Yeah, there's a petition right now in the super rare community to have Max, myself, and Rob get back on the platform. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll never know until it happens.
Rob has been officially allowed back, right?
Sorry, I don't want to speak for Rob.
There was some initiative to try to get me back in, but I just opted not to. I'm doing pretty well as it is outside of it, so there's no point in actually going back. And to be honest, I mean, I kind of made my argument and kind of won it, so there's no real point.
Hey y'all, because we're diving straight into the meat with the super rare stuff. Can we hit the rewind button and give context to what happened?
Yeah, I mean, just real quick. I mean, I guess, Max and I were making a bunch of pieces and we managed to do everything wrong. Make too many pieces, sample too many things. What else, man? Max, you know the rest of this story. Come on, man. Jump in. You want to claim this shit? Let's do it.
Yeah, bro. Came to my show. You minted your first piece of crypto art a week later because you thought it was a good grift, and then you got in with a bunch of collectors, so you became Whale Shark. Congratulations. Now you can play the evil villain role. But you ever fucking talk to me the way that you did on my own show, I'll fucking break you. And I don't give a shit. You're a fucking piece of shit, dude. You attacked a female. I don't give a shit if y'all block me from this. You attacked a female journalist. Do you know how fucked up that is? Do you even have any idea about how fucked up that is as a move to try to fucking, sell a piece of art to prove your fucking big dick status? Go fuck yourself.
And there you have it, folks.
Could I ask a question? Sorry. Do you mind?
Please
go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Since I'm one of these oldie traditional art world guys, and I'm not part of the whole controversy. First, I just want to say that as the father of a 22-year-old who actually knows how to code, my kid is far ahead of me, and my kid is already coding and stuff like that. So they understand a lot more about all this than I do. My basic, for me, the one of the questions that keeps on cropping up in things that I'm reading about the whole question of NFT and NFT art and crypto art and things like that is the whole question of medium. And again, I think that, listen, my basic premise is that once an artist defines something as art, and once there is a community, even if it's just a few people, it's art. My question is, what is the medium? Is cryptocurrency, from your perspective, a medium versus NFT? Because some people are saying that an NFT is not a medium per se, that it's more of a kind of a receipt or an envelope. But cryptocurrency would be a medium in a sense, right? Or no? I'm just trying to understand this from a more traditional idea of medium. There's imagery and there's the appropriation of imagery, and that's a process and a method that's well known. But what is the medium from your perspectives?
I mean, I'll jump in real quick. I mean, it's the blockchain is just, it's just a timeline preserver. So for me, it's the NFT is just a buzzword. I mean, the NFT came out during the CryptoPunks era, so that was like a buzz term that they wanted to use to push around. But really, I mean, half the fun is just minting stuff with the token and adding abstraction on top of it. So whatever you can, whatever you deem as artwork on top of that token, it can be anything. So that's half the fun with this stuff. So, I mean, that's why I do it. I mean, most of the time it's just like what can be minted and what can be expressed. And that's, it's pretty simple to me, but, I mean, everybody's doing it in different ways. I mean, there's programmatic attempts and ways to play with the token and do like kind of David Copperfield kind of stuff with the token. And, but there's different ways to approach it.
Also, I transitioned from oil painting into full digital NFT, crypto art and NFTs. And so, for me, I had to learn all the digital stuff. I had just got an iPad. I didn't know how to do any of it. And so I really experimented from you see my early stuff, it's a lot of just remixed stuff. And now I'm actually, taking my art knowledge and putting it into my art and then minting that and stuff. So it's changed, and I've really learned and used this as a medium differently, I think.
I think just to add on to what Robness and Una are saying in response to Joshua's question, I think, you're right, Josh. It is, some people consider it a certificate, sort of like a certificate of authenticity, and that's a utilitarian way of looking at it. But I do think there are some artists out there that are using the blockchain as a medium. Matt Cain is one of those, doing some really amazing stuff with his gazers, and it's just super wonderful to see a lot of other artists play with the technology as a medium. So I think it's yes and, right? I think it's both, is what I would respond to that. And I think, if you don't mind giving me a minute or two here, I think it's important to sort of give context to where trash art is today too. As we dive into this, I've seen it evolve into sort of imagine three forks. There's the movement, there's the meme, and there's the aesthetic. So the movement is a lot of the stuff we were talking about just before with Super Rare, centered around gatekeeping, censorship, copyleft methodologies, and also onboarding new artists into the space, right? And then there's the meme, which is most prominent probably, and the thing that people connect trash art to, and that's the toter, the 64-gallon toter, the flagship, sort of meme for the platform. I mean, for the movement itself, and that's evolved beyond that because artists have sort of played with the meme outside of trash art, whether whether it's low effort NFTs or something like me. I use potatoes, and other stuff, right? And then,
by the way,
hang on, Max. I'll let you, if you just let me finish up the last piece, I'll give you the floor. And then there's the aesthetic. The aesthetic is what Rob Ness talked about, using Photomosh, the synthesizer aspect. And in the very beginning, all of these things were intertwined. And over the last 2 years, they've sort of forked out, and some artists only use the meme, and other artists are like me, heavily focused on the movement aspects. And some of my work is based around like gatekeeping and censorship. And then there's the aesthetic, right? Like the glitchy stuff, the photomosh stuff. So it's evolved over time, but in the very beginning, a lot of these three things were intertwined. And I thought just sort of giving that context for where we were and where we are today with those three was important to the conversation.
I just remember, all right, thank you. I just remember Satsman taking me out to lunch in LA and being like, all right, well, I collected Banksies and Invaders and they all got burnt the fuck down. And then you and Robness are cool. I mean, Robness were cool for a minute, but I got bored with your movement. I don't even know why I'm in this room. I guess I'm just drunk on a Tuesday. So happy Taco Tuesday. I hope World War III treats us all not too bad.
So maybe one question also for you, Max, and basically for all of us, but what does actually mean that something is an original artwork? I mean, I guess that's the main question, because that's
the actual hardest question. That's the actual hardest thing in art, is to actually be original. It really is. You have to fucking study all of it to even begin to understand why it, and that's the thing. Like, I'm just tired of seeing the goddamn totem, and I'm like, all right, I blocked the yellow guy. That's cool. Like, there's actual things happening all around the world. There's self-taught Tehran artists, Bangladeshi artists. Like, if this is about a decentralized art, then let's talk about decentralized art other than this one idiot's movement of like doing the same stupid, like, I get it. You're trying to be Warhol. Cool, man. Warhol was Warhol. Whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I have something to say. I mean, you just sound fucking jealous as hell, dude. What the hell's your problem, man? Hey,
My
I
I mean,
don't think
problem is that
it's.
there's
you're kind
nothing
of a piece
wrong
of
with
shit of a
that.
human
Hey,
being
listen to
because
me.
you actually
Hey,
put a
Max,
woman's life in
Max,
danger, dog. I don't think you
Max. Hey,
understand that, dog.
hey, hey, it's
This
it's
isn't
all right,
Trump.
man. Hey, listen. All right, chill.
Sorry, y'all. I had to do it. I did not want to do it. The spirit of open conversation is really important, and totally understand that people have, you know, personal and professional gripes with each other, and I'm not here in this to stand in the way of those things. But we are trying to have a conversation that doesn't focus on those. So again, not trying to silence anyone. Happy to keep everybody on stage, but want to have a quick moment to maybe circle back to the question about what is an original artwork in this context, and anybody can feel free to take it.
So
All
I
right, I will
firmly
say one thing. Hold on.
believe. Oh,
I will
Rob,
say one thing.
go
Sorry.
ahead, Robin.
That was a little emotion out there. That's fine. But honestly, like Max is right about the artwork stuff. There's tons of stuff going on everywhere else. His position is actually accurate. We have an artist on the FOMA mag coming up that's literally releasing artwork in Iran, and she can't reveal herself. You know, like that to me is also another part of crypto art. It's legit. Max is right. But like you're directing it at like you're just directing your anger at stuff, and it's like it's kind of ridiculous, man. It's like I'm fully aware of that. Like just because I got my thing going and like everybody else is enjoying and creating, dude. It's like what's the problem? I mean, there's plenty of stuff we can focus on, and we're going to. But yeah,
The, pro-
I'm definitely like
the
happy
problem
to
is
have
you
that
started
artist in
claiming
there.
you've been doing this shit since 2016, and that's just like such a fundamental error of attribution that I'm just kind of like, are you kidding me? Like everyone's like now, and you said something like, and I'm trying to be as polite as possible, honestly. But you're like, you try to like go around it. You're like, I've been creating a crypto art product for the last 5 years. And I was like, man, that's so whack. And it's just on an aesthetic level, like the Yahoo article, man. I was like, because I've been seeing things that were like, hey, kid makes, a bunch of money off of stupid shit. And when I saw you in there and I was like, bro, man, like, and you're trying to pull me in on like a GQ article. I'm like, bro, if I'm going to do a GQ article, it ain't going to be about fucking trash art. So that's it.
Okay, going to Yuna because she had her hand up for a while.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure the audience understands that trash art does not have to be a toter. That if it is in the spirit of trash art and the movement, it was about rebellion, really, just standing up for artists' rights, and we were sick of rules, at the time. So just know that even at that time, there were other pieces out there that weren't a toter, that were part of, and are still considered part of the trash art movement.
And I will say too, I mean, because this is personal to me, the thing is like, Matt Fury with his Pepe, he went through a lot of stuff. And here's the thing, like in 2016 when we were making these rare Pepes, we got to see like Matt Fury going through a ton of shit as an artist, like how to grapple his own meme and the fact that he finally realized that he really can't control it. He has to just kind of let it go. So with this whole trash art thing, I mean, I had my own reason as to why I made the toter and why I felt like I needed to put a trash can in Super Rare's gallery, Have my own reasons for that. And it's grown into something else. Like I've said like plenty of times that I've let this meme fly off on its own. If I see people create stuff and I like it, I'm going to repost it. But everybody has their own interpretations as to what it is. And for me, I mean, to try to control a meme is like trying to control lightning in a bottle. It's just not going to happen, So, I mean, the core crux is like what Eric was talking about. I mean, there is the aesthetic, there is the the intention behind it and what you're kind of feeling. But I think everybody has their own kind of perspective on it. And so for me, that's the most beautiful part. And there are people that can hate on it too. I don't give a shit. Like, I mean, that's the whole point of art. Like, people will hate and people will love it. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, it's like to try to say, what is trash art now. I think a lot of people can declare it for themselves now. So, which is beautiful, And so, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we used to call that crypto art, honestly. But, I don't know. What's up, Matt Kane?
Joshua,
But Max, one thing, not everything, and I wrote wrote a text about defining crypto art for Kunstforum. Is out since last week. I mean, not everything can be crypto art, so there has to be something like trash art and I don't know what else. But I think we clearly have to
I'm pretty
find
sure every
terms for
NFT
these
is
things.
technically crypto art. I don't know. Y'all can argue about this, but I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
Joe Looney likes to say that everything's a rare Pepe, and I kind of tend to agree.
Only if you're smoking DMT, but you gotta try 5-MeO. I'm not trying to sell a product. That is a whole different thing.
Okay, cool.
Can I ask a question
just
about
wanted to ask you
originality?
to help us. Yes, please. Help us.
Yeah, because no. You don't need help. I just was curious about the question of originality because, I mean, to a certain extent, originality, of course, has been an ongoing kind of question and dilemma in art for ages, right? And it recurs, it comes back constantly, particularly when artists push the envelope, so to speak, or push the NFT, no pun intended, but, once and this happens regularly in different ways. And I think that there's there's the question of originality, and there's also the question of, as somebody said, like there's art that maybe I don't like, or there's art that I do like, and then there's a question of quality and criteria of quality, and how we can have kind of conversations about what criteria of quality people use in relation to these different forms of art, right? And what we mean by originality, because as I said, I mean, visual artists have been using copying as a way to be original as well, in different ways, right? So even copying and appropriation is a form of originality, right? Even if it seems like that's a contradiction in terms. So this is something that's been going on for a while. I just also want to say that for me, I think that, not for me, but I think for some people within the traditional art worlds or communities, there's some confusion, because I think that when they see people minting NFTs and they don't entirely understand how it works conceptually as well as technologically, they think about how can something that is a reproduction and a potentially endless reproduction or potentially endless copy be an original, right? And so then people, as I have had to do, have to read a lot more about how the technology works and what minting means and what rarity means, and what, people can have the same NFT, but it's their NFT in a sense, right? Or it points to the work of art that the NFT delivers. But I just want to go back to somebody who I read, like in the 1980s when I was a 20-year-old, and whose ideas I think may be pertinent for this space in a sense about originality. And this is somebody that maybe you've heard of, Beaudry Art. He's a French theorist who emerged in the 1960s. Notions of simulation and the simulacra. He wrote the book The Gulf War Did Not Take Place, and other books. And he had this idea about what the simulacrum is. It's a copy of that which an original does not exist. And he said that culture, beginning in the 1980s, in a sense, because of late capitalism, so to speak, was very much more and more about the simulacrum, that we had copies, but no more originals. And I think that that's an interesting kind of way for me to think about the whole NFT crypto art movement, is that it asks people to sort of rethink these questions. And I think that's important.
Yeah, maybe don't buy the 107 Scarlet Toter on like it's really lame ass drop. I don't know. I'm here literally speaking as myself. So if you don't like it, y'all are welcome to mute me and boot me. But I do want to.
Max, I don't care, dude. You can say whatever you want. That's fine. I mean, there are things for me personally, like when it comes to originality. I mean, for me, I mean, my whole life, whether it be, visual arts or music or anything, I usually come to find that there's always a common thread that prefaces it, or there's something behind it. Like, I mean, as a guitar player, you learn all these licks from freaking, Led Zeppelin. You find out that they're all blues musicians, and then you go look into that, and you find the common thread through that, and you keep going back and back and back. And so for me, I mean, I kind of ditched the whole notion of like originality, because it's such a hard. I mean, it's a nice struggle to have. I mean, it's a nice thing to have on the side, but like it just seems like a like another curse too. And sometimes you kind of have to drop it a little bit and just say, look, this is a point in time. This is a point in time in fabric of the universe. And like, I'm going to express myself and use the tools that I have at my disposal.
You haven't done enough psychedelics, honestly. Like, so next time you try to decide to yell at me on my own show, just go do more real shit, dude. Do mescaline, do
Well,
ayahuasca.
Max,
Like,
first of all, you're making an
shut the
assumption on
fuck
my
up.
life.
Honestly,
Hold on,
I
wait,
don't,
wait,
I
wait,
don't
wait,
need
wait,
you to
wait,
talk.
hold
Whoa,
on,
whoa,
wait,
whoa,
wait,
whoa,
wait,
whoa.
wait,
No,
hold on.
no.
Again, sorry, but we have to do this. If it's gonna get like this, and you and Max and Robin are gonna have a fight, it's not about this. So, like, we're talking about trash art. I understand it is controversial in many ways, but please let's not have a fight between each other. You both can, go and have whatever discourses you need to make in another context. So I'm gonna unmute everybody. There's Eric and there's Jay who have been having their hands up for a while, and I'm gonna pass on the mic to Eric.
Thank you. I really want to sort of answer the question of originality. I'll get back to that. But I think some of the things that Joshua brought up are kind of meaty, so I want to touch on a few things too. In terms of originality, some people maybe have seen me tweet this a few times or talk about it, but I firmly believe nothing is original and everything is a remix. And Robness really put that in context, where we're taking our experience and the things we bring into our lives as artists and then redistributing it through our own lens. But something came before it, and that can be lessons from another artist, that can be copying other artists' works and then reinterpreting that. So I think originality is something that critics and curators like to use to define why. And I'm not saying this is why you're doing it. This is you, Josh. I'm just overgeneralizing, maybe. But this is a term that people will use to sort of say why they chose one thing over another. But I don't think originality actually exists. There's another piece here with quality, and I tend to think of quality in the metaphysical way. Big Q, which is a term sort of it's really difficult to define. We know quality when we see it. We know quality when we feel it. But if we talk about quality small q, we're talking about something that's really subjective and personal to each other. So again, it's like, what is quality art? Well, it's whatever the consensus is amongst a large group of people, could be, or like us, trash artists, we thought our work was quality because of what we believed it was doing and who we were fighting for. So, I think that I don't want to ramble anymore. I had another point, but I think this is fine. I think that originality is an important part of the discussion, but I don't think it's necessary in art. That's my perspective. Everything is a remix.
Jay, you had your hand up for a while.
Hey, yeah, thank you. I come up from it I played in punk bands for years, and so I approach it kind of like I do music, where there's so many Beatle ripoffs and Rolling Stones bands out there, and with blues, it's all you're playing like this traditional format, but putting your own spin on it, and your own fingerprints, and just your own style, and that is an originality in itself. Everybody is doing something that nobody had done before. Somebody's obviously going to be come along every now and then and do something that's like, whoa, oh my gosh, this is unlike anything we've seen or heard before. But in terms of originality, I think what's most important is that work from an artist or musician or whatever just seems authentic. I think that's the most important thing. And when I when I was doing photo mosh gifts, and then I met Rob Ness and Max and found out about super rare deplatform and started getting on Rarible, and everybody's minting all these trash cans. Like at first I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna mint a trash can or a toter. And then sure enough, it's like, okay, here's my first piece of trash art. And after a while, it's like, wow, I've made a lot of trash can and toter gifts. I think I'm gonna take a break for a while, and then I fall back into it. And so, like, I was making spam art for a while, and then would fall back into making trash gifts. But even though there's tons of toters and trash cans now, like, it amazes me the amount of creativity and originality within that format. Like, seeing all these new artists come into the space and like jump in and start minting toters and trash cans, it's totally different than what we were doing in Rarible when this all started.
And on a side note too, just real quick, the new blues of like digital art and crypto art and stuff is like all the Basquiat influenced stuff. I've been kind of watching that as of late. Just a side note, really enjoying that because it's literally one guy's styling, but it's so unique on its own that there's so many offshoots of it. It's like rock and roll. It's just like all these different iterations of it. And there are people that are kind of like mad about it. It's kind of weird. Like they're like, oh, that's a Basquiat ripoff. I'm like, no, it's like saying there's blues and there's rock and roll and there's rock blues and there's funk blues. There's gonna be tons of different styles. So just a side note, that's one thing I've been kind of watching on the side. But yeah.
Amanda, I know you've
Yes.
been trying to say something.
Oh my goodness. I just, on the point of originality, I think that it's really hard right now for anyone that's actually original to get any kind of publicity. That's really all I was going to say. It's easy to rip off other artists and other people. It's hard to, carve out a niche for yourself when, sorry, my daughter's making a mess over here. It's hard to make a name for yourself with something completely original. And that's, really all I need to add to the originality part of the conversation.
Yuna, I see you have your hand up as well.
Yeah, I was going to touch on something Jay said that, we don't always mint trash art now, but we will circle back to it, especially for an example, I was getting whitelisted on the Atomic Hub, and they didn't like one of the works that I had, and they forced me to take it down. So I remixed my own work because I was just kind of ticked about that and slapped trash toters all over the background and minted it somewhere else. It's that I probably should have been a graffiti artist because I just rebel against all that stuff. But yeah, you'll see us doing that stuff, but there's that spirit, like I said, behind it, and we circle back every now and then, and we just kind of join together and when we get our fill of something.
Yeah, for me, I mean, that's like everybody knows me as the trash can and this and that, but I mean, I've made a lot of different types of work, and some of them I haven't even taken credit for that live on like Hicket Nunk and stuff. And I mean, it's just one facet to what I do, but honestly, it's like one of the greatest blessings to ever, like, in my life, is to see something like this grow. And like, to be honest, the greatest thing about this, like, the most positive thing about it is like everybody I've met worldwide with this stuff, and the last 2 years has just been amazing, and just everybody here freaking love you guys, even Max, even though he can't stand me right now, but like, but but yeah, I mean, what we did was amazing, and I'm not gonna like diminish that whatsoever because of what it's been and how it's transpired throughout the whole space. I mean, I remember when OpenSea was quiet. You guys remember that? When it was like literally like crickets, and we had this huge playground, and yeah, I mean, that was a perfect time for spam art. Jay, remember that? It's like, so all those things, like, I'm never gonna like ever forget that stuff. I mean, it was amazing, and now there's all these new people coming in and expressing themselves, and sometimes they ask me like, "Is this trash art?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. You got to find that out. I don't even know. So, but yeah, that's been great. So I'll stand down right now because I want everybody to speak and stuff. So
one question from me here, Robness. Does trash art need a trash can? Is that one criteria?
actually, I'm going to say no, because like when I started kind of cranking up the trash production, like, the very first thing I said was like, okay, I'm going to call these trash GIFs, because usually when I export something from Photomosh, it usually is a GIF, until they got the MP4 add-on, which is great. But in the beginning, it was only GIFs, and so So for me, that was like my rallying cry, is like, all this is going to be trash gifts now, you know. And then I got literal with it at the very tail end of my tenure in like Super Rare. So for me, if anything, like the aesthetic of photo mosh is pretty much one of the strongest things for me, at least. So I make tons of stuff that I consider trash, but it doesn't have a toter in it. It just has like certain effects that are very, very pronounced. Like I said, like the other day, that there's a jitter effect on that app, and it's like, it is
It's so
so
awesome.
photo mosh. Yeah, it's like, it is literally like the aesthetic of that jitter. It's the personality of that app. That jitter in particular, I used to kind of avoid, and then now I can't get enough of it. Like I have a bunch of like stuff in my collection where there was this one Salvador Dali trash gift that I saw, and it's like one of my favorite pieces, and I don't even know who made it. To be honest, I don't know who created it, but it's like I look at that thing and it's just cracks me up. But yeah, some of the effects are just so strong in personality that yeah, it's grown on me through the ages for
And you
sure.
can spend hours tweaking stuff in Photomosh. Like I've only recently gotten into it. I haven't minted anything that I've done through this, but you can spend so much time just kind of like adjusting and fine tuning some of the effects, and it's just super fun. I don't know.
Yeah, like it's funny too, because like when the developers, they like, I kept hounding them actually. Before I even was on Super Rare, I was using Photomosh. Like I'd be on, you know, the Reddit message boards and stuff, making vaporwave art and stuff, and I was using that app constantly. But even before that, I would actually hound the developers like on DMs and say, listen, can you guys add this? Can you guys add this and this? And then finally they hit me up and they said, listen, can you give us like a laundry list of what you want? And the first thing I told him was I want to be able to affect, you know, GIFs and MP4s on the fly. I wanted to be able to affect like GIF memes on the fly with these effects and stuff. And so yeah, I mean, it's been with me for a long time, and I'm kind of like, it is kind of like my baby now, the photo mod, because I see the effects in there, and it's like, yeah, I requested that, you know. And but yeah, no, I mean, for me, like, to be able to stack the effects on each other, though, you can stack like, you know, even the same effect on top of each other, and you can do these like daisy chain things and switch them around, and you'll get different outputs and stuff. So yeah, no, I still dig it to this day.
Thank you. So it's basically about the low effort and using Photomosh. Eric?
Yeah. So just I can answer your question, but the first thing I want to say is I wrote an article about the short history of trash art for those who want some more context. It gives really, it's a 5-minute read, and it gives an overview of everything we're talking about. And I have a short link, so if you're ready for it, it's second, as in the number 2, nd.ai/trash art. And it takes you to my website, but there's a link to the article itself right there. So I think that, you know, some of what we're talking about and jumping back and forth is really experienced for us, and maybe you don't have that sort of context yet. This is a good way to get that context, is to read that article. Then the article title, if you want to search for it, is called "The Short History of Trash Art," and it sort of ties its relationship back to junk art and other movements, including found art and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to add that. And then I don't remember what your question was. I think that was all I wanted to say there.
Oh, and by the way, dude, Eric, thanks for doing all that. And like Colin, putting all that stuff together, I'm just like the more stable ones. It's like, thank you for compiling all that stuff. I mean, it's been wild, man.
Well, I found a use. You know, we had more people asking us for more information about it, so we needed a place. The article also provides a resource, so a lot of other information and context and articles that were written about Rob Ness and the Toter, it's all found there, and you can go and dive deep. The other piece, you know, you reminded me, Rob, about what I wanted to say here. You were talking about how the Basquiat is sort of like the new blues aspect of this, and I think it's kind of funny that there's this proliferation of remixing on the PFP side of things, and it's so acceptable, right? You know, we're seeing all kinds of ape projects and all kinds of doodle ape mashups, and you name it. They're remixing the shit out of everything, and it's wonderful. And it's so fucking trash art, because that's the thing that we were doing, getting shit on for. And I'm using vulgar language. I apologize if it's burning your ears, Una. But this the Jersey in me. It is what it is. So uh, we were talking. It's not just photo mosh. It's not just trash cans. There's this movement aspect behind it. This conversation, as Jay liked to always say, Jay DeLay, that we were having about what does gatekeeping mean for artists? What does remixing mean for the digital art space? These are all important conversations that we were having in early 2020, and we're seeing now come to life in so many different fashions, especially in the PFP world with the proliferation of remixing. I love it. I created the Unofficial Punks, which was sort of like kind of the first remix that got some hype about, on remix of the CryptoPunks that got some hype, and created an entire like generation of 160 subgenres of other other punk remixes. But the point I'm making here is we were, just like Trash Art, that the creation of that project is an evolution of my experience in Trash Art. So as far as I'm concerned, people may not consider themselves trash art, but anybody that's remixing anything in the NFT space, in my eyes, is trash art. And we always like to say it, you're so trash art, you don't even know it.
Well, it's funny, I will say one thing about the Unofficial Punks, man, and I got to apologize because at the time when you did it, there was so much shit going on that I couldn't even look straight at what was going on in the scene. But Unofficial Punks does not get enough credit. Like, it took me a while to finally figure that out. But yeah, man, like you definitely did something there, man, for sure.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It's not about credit for me. It's good to get credit, but I'm just so happy that people know it. Like, it's so much. It was more fun creating it. It was so organic. I didn't even do it on purpose. Like, I didn't purposely try to remix CryptoPunks to create something. I was remixing CryptoPunks because I couldn't afford one, and I decided to customize my own, and then other people wanted it. Like, that's the only reason that this project ever came to become what it was. So Josh has had his hand raised, so I'm going to stop talking now.
No. Yeah, no. Actually, that helps me to focus on a kind of a question or comment about the relationship between gatekeeping and remixing, and also the function of auction houses. Because one of the things that I've been trying to get my brain around is what seems to be sort of in conversation or debate within NFT crypto art communities, as well as in relation to traditional bricks and mortars art communities, and the interconnection between these communities is gatekeeping, and some are calling for the destruction of the traditional gatekeepers and the destruction of the traditional art worlds, and those systems of validation and valorization, and credentialism, and that's sort of one thing that I've seen. But then there also appears to be people who are gravitating to, ironically or not, traditional gatekeeping or validation platforms like auction houses. And I guess there's a CryptoPunk auction coming up either at Sotheby's or Christie's for some crazy amount of money for a set of CryptoPunks. And so the idea that somehow one could then make one's own CryptoPunk to in some way, I don't know, disrupt or critique, that form of kind of a conventional auction model, I think is interesting. And it seems to me that there's an interesting tension right now between those who are kind of trying to undermine, if you will, traditional gatekeeping, and those who are gravitating to traditional gatekeeping platforms like auction houses to validate crypto art and NFTs. That's just sort of...
I think what you said is totally valid. And don't we have the opportunity to be our own gatekeepers now as artists, because NFTs offer that utility? It's just about mint gating and letting, the space happen for people to have kind of memberships into corners of the internet that we can congregate.
Yeah, to me, that was really the heart of the trash art movement, and what had me attracted to it is you had a decentralized network, but on top of it, all these curated closed galleries, like just replicating the old traditional art system, and thought it was kind of ridiculous, and migrated to Rarible and OpenSea and any open platform. And that was the heart of the trash art movement. It was not only Creative Commons and remixing, it was like, hey, what are we doing on a decentralized network? Bowing down to these centralized marketplaces that really don't even want to have anything to do with us. For a lot of artists, like some of us were accepted. I got on Known Origin, but didn't even try to get on Super Rare because I saw what they did with Max and Rob. But then we have this new opportunity, and Joshua, you asked about, is it a medium, in terms of the blockchain and NFT and crypto art? I think, like Eric said, artists use it in different ways. It can be a medium. We have a decentralized network, and artists pushing to figure out how can we utilize that to do decentralized curation. Super Rare's now got those spaces that Mocha's involved with, whether it's networked curation or decentralized curation. I did an experiment with just like the contract was the art. It wasn't like the NFT, but the contract is kind of like a Uniswap for NFTs, which is a decentralized gallery, which fluctuates with new pieces getting swapped in and out. I worked on with Steve Klebanoff Rat Swap. So it's like a ever constantly changing gallery that's decentralized, totally decentralized, no control over the contract anymore. But to me, the medium is the contract, the token, and how people interact with those in these environments.
And don't get us wrong. I mean, there was a lot of ugly stuff, but we had so much fun. We really did. Anytime they would say we couldn't do something, we would just kind of show up in force, steal each other's work, remix it. I mean, we were having a ball at the time and just laughing our butts off about all of it.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, everybody thinks there's like some serious contention or whatever. There wasn't really. Honestly, I was laughing most of the time.
There was a lot of fun,
just
Rob.
because
There was a lot of fun.
It's like, I kind of knew some of the situations. Like, the end result would be, obviously, it's like all you have to do is look back in history and see what happened. It's like, well, okay, some people aren't seeing it now, but maybe they'll see it later, And so for me, it really kind of was just like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous, but I'm gonna have fun with this and try this out. Or but yeah, and just, it is what it is. And also too, I mean, like, I will say, I have learned a lot of things on the way, as well. Like, everybody has their own, like, personal journey through this space, but tons of things I learned, because it's an entirely new thing. I mean, there's no rule book to this stuff. So yeah, definitely I was butting my heads against a lot of things and saying, okay, well, maybe this doesn't work, and well, check this out, just tinkering away, I guess, ideologically, I guess. So
it was interesting because this movement really was like a massive prelude to this NFT bull run. Like, it's hard for people to understand what the space looked like in mid 2020. I mean, it was really obviously super different, but this trash art movement at the time had so much energy around it, and it was really defined by the artists supporting the artist. I mean, they were the ones that were buying each other's art at the beginning. There weren't really that many collectors, fucking with it. It was really supported, and that was really the energy from the whole scene.
Yeah, and one thing about that was we were getting a lot of flack for buying each other's art. They were telling us that we were wash trading our own art because we were collecting our friends' art. Like, this is the kind of, the stuff we were dealing with at the time. How ridiculous is that, right?
Well, yeah,
it's crazy to think.
The entire crypto art scene was a wash trade then, because everybody else was buying. There weren't any collectors when we were here in the beginning. That's the funny thing, was like, there was, like, literally, like, when I got into Super Rare and stuff, and like, I just saw this, just the rest of the artists kind of doing their thing, and there were people that were developing a collector identity.
We're still all just
You were
buying our
my
friends'
collector,
art.
Rob. Rob was my collector. He bought my first
Yeah.
piece. It was called Ugly Ass Bitcoin Dragon, and it sold for like $5, and I was so excited.
Hell yeah, Rob was my first collector too. I almost died. I was like, oh, somebody collected my stuff, and I was crying. I was so happy, and somebody was like, "Do you know who Robness is?"
Okay, so the funny thing about the most beautiful thing about this whole space is like the artists buying other artists' work. Like back in the Rare Pepe days, like that was like totally like the dark ages, and like the only thing we could do was like trade with each other. We had like 30 people in a Telegram, and we're like, well, I got 10 editions of this, you got 100 editions of that, here's a card, you give me something, and luckily, the transaction fees were just 9 cents back then, and it's like that was kind of the spirit of that. So for me, it's like, I don't know, I mean, to keep spreading that was the coolest thing, honestly, because I remember my first sale. Like that shit was life changing, I mean, I'll never forget that. And yeah, it was a Rare Pepe, but like still, like that really like abstract concept was proven, and even to this day, like I know it's like the first sale any digital artist has is like mind blowing. Like their whole world concept kind of changes. So yeah, no, I'm fortunate to get everybody's work. I was having a blast doing it.
Let me ask, because we're talking about sort of these early days and how the movement formed. What do you see as the future evolution now that there's such a different sort of NFTs play such a different role in culture, and there's such heavy financialization and sort of these different sort of collecting DAOs and institutions? Like we're in a very different moment now, and surely are about to be in an even more dramatically different moment in the future. How do you see trash art fitting in to that future?
I'll let someone else take that. I've been hogging the floor, so sorry, guys.
Yeah,
but you're the founder, man.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Sorry, I just.
Well, I guess I'll say something real quick, just like from a futurist mindset, like what I think. It's interesting, these platforms. I keep saying that every platform has its own aesthetic, and so for me, like, it's kind of weird, but like when I go into a platform and I make something, like usually it'll, if I make a piece, it'll be kind of geared towards the aesthetic of the platform. Like when I started making works on Hicketnunk, like had like a very like futurist mindset. Like I had to put it on the wall of a spacecraft or something. It was just weird for me personally, but like I think there's going to be tons of platforms, and those platforms will kind of act like record labels in a sense. Be more distributed that way, and there's be a shit ton more of them than normal gallery spaces. So I think everybody's going to have their own like niche crew or whatever, and then they release their work through that. Like you're kind of seeing some like physical galleries popping up. You see like Super Chief and like a bunch of different people coming in, and they got their own identity, and that's what I think it's going to be. And I think for digital art, it's going to be really kind of spread out like that, instead of just like top 2 or 3 places. There's going to be like just a huge palette of where you can go and what kind of communities and what types of art you can get. Art blocks right there. If you look at it right now, the landscape's pretty huge already, so I think a lot more platforms in that sense. And I mean, who knows? I mean, I didn't even know this PFP thing blows my mind still to this day. Like one small idea just hit the pop culture just like an atomic bomb. It was crazy, man. I remember when like Pranksy dropped them CryptoPunks on Rarible. That was, I mean, everybody that used Rarible at that time remembers that. When he dumped all the rap CryptoPunks on there, and all of a sudden he just sold them to the rest of the market, and then all of a sudden people on Twitter started using them as profile pics. Like I'll never forget that. That one small little thing turned into something so huge. So for me, like that kind of blows my mind, because I'm like, what's the next one? You know what I mean? Like, what's the next thing that's going to be like a small idea that just kind of just explodes like that? So, but as far as crypto art stuff, I think a lot more platforms, a lot of different kind of sub niche platforms. So.
The only thing I would add on to that, Rob, is, and I think Quasimondo's Art History 101 sort of really just explains the idea of gatekeeping, and then also, you have these new artists coming in, and then they become the mainstream, and then a new group comes up behind it. Trash art is just another iteration of sort of the history of art, the and the introduction of new ideas. I'll retweet the introduction of old ideas through a new lens is what I meant. So the remix, the remix theory here. But I'll retweet this, and so you guys can sort of see what I'm talking about.
I had a question about the future. Do people feel that all these new networks and platforms and redistributed, decentralized systems will enable artists to make a living in a more effective way than artists have been able to? I mean, in the general sense, will there be a redistribution of capital, whether it's crypto or fiat currency? To me, that's a big question that I have. Thanks.
I've stopped caring about whether I'm going to make money or not. Like, I've stopped caring. I'm so sorry, Una. I'll hand it over to you in a sec. But for me right now, more the mission is about making sure that people are empowered to take control of their financial futures. Like, that's kind of driving my art at this point. And we have this project too, 6E. And like, I'm not going to shill it too much or whatever, but the main point I'm trying to make is I'm not as worried about paying the bills as I am about being a part of a movement away from big banks and towards crypto right now.
I do have one question for all of you. What does it mean to you being part of a movement? I mean, it's historical by now, and in the traditional art world, that would mean the artist might get represented by galleries and get museum shows. Is that also something that's a goal of yours and you're hoping for, or is this like something totally new, like an online art world, and you don't need and want all of that?
Yeah, I could sort of answer that. Una, I know you had your hand up, but I just jumped in. Sorry. I want to first answer Joshua's question, which I think that it's affording a new class of artists, Joshua, to monetize what was previously considered a trade. So, like game designers, 3D designers, scene renderers. A lot of these artists, the way that they could make money before was getting a job at a game studio or something, and then comes the NFT medium comes along and it creates a new platform for a new generation of artists using these skills to sell their work as art, not as a trade. And so I think that's an important part of this discussion. The other, to answer your question, I think it's related, Annika, is what does it mean for me to be part of a movement? I don't know that I thought I was just hanging out with friends, right? And we were doing something together, and we call it a movement because that's a way to contextualize it. But we were really just supporting each other, whether or not it's clearly there's still clearly some people out there who don't want to shine the light on the work that we did, but you have brave souls like Sats Moon and his projects, and Mocha Museum of Crypto Art, and then the other Museum of Crypto Art, really waving the flag of trash art, and it's because of them that we continue to find places to show. I don't know that we'll see trash art. Maybe the only trash art we'll ever see in Christie's might be Rob Ness's Toter, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't really care for that. I can make money through multiple streams of income because of the NFT space, whether that's consulting, whether that's collecting, whether that's creating my own art and selling. So no, it's not really that important to me from my personal perspective, to find a way into a traditional collector's hands, because I don't think they're ready for it.
I want to jump in on this. So when I first started coming from traditional art, doing art fairs and things like that, it was hard to make a living. And then I thought I could sell those paintings, which I did mint them at the beginning, but it wasn't resonating with the culture or anything. So that's what I mean. I had to learn crypto art, and quickly, and I did. And we didn't know we were in a movement at the time, and now it's kind of come full circle. You can mint your paintings now, and you can sell them, and you can even add the NFT to your paintings and offer that to the collectors, and vice versa. And so it's really expanded that way for traditional artists to come into the space and make a living. I've been able to pay all our monthly bills for the past year just specifically from selling NFTs. And that's huge for me, and I do want to expand more and being part of that movement, having that history. I love having that history. And if doors open because of that, I'm ready for it. I want to go through the door. I want to, get out there. I want those doors to open because they didn't necessarily open when I was in only doing traditional art. So I want to combine it all. And I'm even taking my NFTs now and applying to more open calls and asking them, are you showing NFT work? Because this should be shown. They should start setting up those screens. It should be included in all the traditional spaces now.
Oh yeah, girl. Let's get those NFT galleries out there, huh?
100%.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Yuna. Like, for me, at first it was just like hanging around with friends and minting trash art mints on Rarible and sharing them. And, if you like one, buy it, and somebody pictures up and it's like, awesome. People are picking up the trash art. And then after a while, it started to become obvious that there was a little bit more to it. And for me, it really kind of, when there was so much hatred directed at it, I was like, well, there's something here. So I hopped on to like a AI text generator and created the digital trash, spam and trash art manifesto, because I felt like it needed to be documented somehow, and it seemed fitting to document it by using an AI text generator the same way you do Photomosh, where you just like press buttons and tweak a few things and collage things around. But yeah, I think that, like if you go back and look through artists influencing each other, like, Rob Ness has obviously influenced us a lot, but there's tons of people that aren't here right now, like Don Quixote, Mohini. So there's like a lot of early Rarible trash art OGs that I wish that were with us. But also I want to thank y'all. Like, just really inspired me to get involved in this space. And I think that the fact that it is a movement and it became a movement, the reason I wanted to be a part of it was because I was hoping that, we get away from gatekeeping, where you don't have to be represented by a gallery, because there's only a few minority of artists that are going to benefit from that system. And with a decentralized network, hopefully you can kind of distribute that in a larger way with more artists getting recognition without needing a stamp of approval from a few parties.
Yeah, it's funny too because we had we would congregate on OpenSea first, and even though OpenSea was like really quiet at the time, and we'd be making pieces there, and then it's kind of funny though because the Twitter / OpenSea and all the Web3 platforms, like all of that combined, like it's kind of a weird beast in its own right too. And so we would make pieces and we would mint them on OpenSea, and then we go to Twitter, which is like the town square at the time. I mean, the town square now is like so raucous, it's ridiculous. It's even hard to. It's just so much noise. But like back then, it was, we to be honest, I'd be making work, and then I'd go on there real quick, and we'd all have discussions and stuff, and so that was our own kind of like little club in a sense. Everybody was doing their thing, and it's like, here's my piece. Well, here's my piece, and then other people would jump in, and slowly and surely we just built this whole worldwide tribe. And I'm just it was a special moment. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. It's super, super awesome. Like when I was trying to curate all the pieces for that like Crypto Voxels gallery, kind of doing an overview of like what people have made. I mean, there's so many masterpieces made, and the people that are sitting in this room have made it. Just in my eyes, and the funny thing is, it's like it's been a couple years now since those pieces have been made, and now I look at them and they've gotten even better. It's like they've aged like fine wine. It's crazy. I got most of the trash pieces on my mural, like in my house, and they kind of like on rotation. And I'm telling y'all, you guys made some ridiculous pieces, and yeah, I mean, it's special to me just because it's just like, it's like my family, it's my crypto art fam. So, yeah, it was special, straight up, man.
All right. On that note, thank you everyone for a rousing conversation. We are right at the 90-minute mark, so we're gonna go ahead and close. So thank you all again, and Nicole, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else.
No, thank you. It was a great conversation, lots of drama, but overall it was amazing. Thank you all for being here, and yeah, chat
And
soon.
by the way, excellent moderation, guys. Hey,
Lots
shut
of
me up whenever you
anxiety.
need to, okay?
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Love you
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. I appreciate it. Good luck to everyone.